Today, we are talking about another Champions League preview, and then after that, we're doing like a little squad building challenge.
I think they can actually win that midfield battle.
I'm going to back City.
Is it? I will tell you what we're doing for the squad building challenge.
I'm going to put Zanetti forward.
I'm going to put Claude Makelele forward.
I'm going to put Roy Keane forward, mate. I'm the deciding vote, and that's quite scary. Welcome back to the Tactic.talk podcast. We're on episode 3 right now. The last episode you saw was the Super League episode. I'm joined with Jack and Lewis. Lewis was here for an episode you didn't see. It was a Champions League preview for the semi-finals, but the Super League sort of fucked that up for us. Today, we are talking about another Champions League preview, and this time round, it's a Champions League final. We've got Chelsea versus Man City. Lewis is the City fan in the house. And we're going to go through that, provide some tactical insight for you and things to expect when we watch the game. And then after that, we're doing like a little squad building challenge with 3 Champions League winning sides that we've all brought to the table. We don't know which teams it is yet. And we'll do that after the Champions League preview and do a little squad building challenge. So to start with, we will be doing the Chelsea versus City match. Lewis, you being a City fan, I'm just going to ask a generic question and say, like, how are you feeling going into it?
I am absolutely bricking myself. Just because of, like, you don't know what to expect when it's the Champions League final.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, City have never been there before. So it's going to be a completely different game to the other games that City have had with Chelsea earlier on in the season. Obviously, I think Tuchel's won 2 of them.
Yeah.
And then the other one was when City played Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, but that was when they had Lampard. So
that was the FA Cup semi-final, and recently when Aguero did the little Panenka and fucked it up.
Oh my God.
Obviously, Pep Guardiola, he was in the Champions League final last in 2012. And Tuchel was in it last year. Or was it 2011, Pep Guardiola?
I think 2012 was Chelsea, wasn't it? So it would have been...
so 2011. And then Tuchel was in it, not last year, the year before with PSG Bayern. Wait, was that the year?
That was last year.
It was last year. I'm lost. Right, okay, so it was last year. Do you think that the fact that, Tuchel's experienced like the big Champions League final like more recently than Pep has would play anything into it?
No.
Not at all?
I don't think it changes at all. I think Pep is probably one of the best managers to date right now in
finals,
just single games.
Yeah,
because his record's so good in finals. What was it you were saying before? He's lost 1 in 15.
It might have been 1 in 15, or he might have won 15 out of 15.
15,
really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I mean, that just says it all. It doesn't matter how long. And he wins finals for City anyway. Do you know what I mean?
I think the only manager that has a record close to his is Zidane's.
Oh, right.
I don't think Zidane's very far off in terms of like that starting finals.
I think obviously the stat came out with Jose Mourinho when he left Spurs before the League Cup final as well. Like he has like something comparable to Pep. But again, like there's certain managers that like jump on finals and like perform better.
I feel like that's where you're judged as a manager though.
Yeah,
because obviously,
that's where Poch is judged as a manager, for example.
I think he got Spurs all that way and just the performance in their Champions League final.
Yeah.
I mean, as a City fan, if City turn up like that in the Champions League final, I just think if you see your team go out with a whimper, that's the last thing that you want to see.
Yeah, but I know we're going to a bit off topic here, but I think that final was just a one-off because I think Tottenham overachieved. Yeah. Whereas I think City's team right now, the way you're playing like consistently, and just looking at the actual squad depth you have as well, I think like it's obvious that you're meant to be there.
I think like going back to what you said as well, I think in that season, I think Spurs probably played the final in the semi-final against Ajax, and that is
the way they played it. Yeah,
that's the last thing that I want City to do, where they've just played really good against PSG, and then they've overlooked Chelsea when it comes to the final because like they shouldn't be overlooked. They've had a really good season, I think.
Saying that, we've talked about Pep, and he's been known to tinker in the last few years, sort of when he shouldn't be doing it. Leon is a perfect example of that. But this year around, he's sort of stuck with a consistent squad. Do you expect that to be the squad in the final? Like, what do you expect the City squad to look like in the final going into it?
I think it should be exactly the same. I think it should be Ederson, Cancelo, Walker, Stones, Diaz, and then probably Fernandinho, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, and then probably the rolling false nines up front in Foden, Mahrez, and then De Bruyne as well. I think the team's pretty much decided before the Champions League final.
So you said Cancelo in there or Zinchenko, was it?
Cancelo I'd probably go for.
Yeah. Well, he didn't have the greatest match against PSG. I think he did get subbed off in the end.
Yeah, he did. I think that's because he got carded. I think Pep was trying to save him for the final.
Right. And I'll ask you, Jack, about the Chelsea side. Tuchel's not made too many changes in the big matches when it comes to it.
Yeah.
I think Azpilicueta's played every match for Tuchel since he's come in as well.
I think Rudiger has as well. So do you expect, again, the same consistent side for Tuchel going into it? I mean, I've said before, I don't know if it was aired actually on the
one that didn't
make it. But I think Tuchel's really good at just structuring a team that can go out and just play one way. And I think he did that against Atletico. They played safe and they won. Right. I feel like against Porto, they capitalised on a win in the first leg, played safe in the second leg, even though they lost. They played well defensively. I think against Real Madrid, they picked the moments really well. Defensively, they were really good, even though they had less of the ball for some of that match. And I feel like that will probably be the same for the final. I think they'll set up really well. I think defensively they'll be sound, and I think that they'll play this the exact same way.
So do you think their key advantage is the game management that they've shown since Tuchel's came in?
I think that comes from Tuchel. I think he just knows how to structure a team and make them play the best they can in one way, rather than just being like a Pep and just being able to like shift players about and just move them about on a pitch. I feel like Tuchel's really good at bringing structure.
Right. And
I feel like against City, that's what you need as well. So I think, to be honest, I've said that City will win the Champions League before, but I can, judging by Chelsea's recent performances, I think it's actually closer than a lot of people think.
Yeah.
And I think Chelsea have got a chance. And that's not me just saying that because I'm a United fan.
No, I'd agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I think people, I'm not sure if people are writing Chelsea off, but I definitely wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is for Chelsea is if they play the same way as they did against you in the semi-final in the FA Cup. Because I feel like City were in that game a little bit, but they weren't like the usual City.
Yeah. They did have a weakened team that game as well. Yeah. They had made quite a few changes in that game in preparation for the next leg of the Champions League, I think it was.
So you said that Tuchel brings structure and Pep's got this like shifting pattern where like it's so unpredictable you don't know, but in both sides they've had a consistent team throughout, and we expect them teams in the final. Mm-hmm. With them teams established, what do you think the weaknesses, if there are any weaknesses, what are the weaknesses when the teams match up against each other? Because we've seen it in the last two matches in the league and the FA Cup semi-final. Obviously, I think Chelsea and City played a weakened team in the league. This time round, what are the key matchups that we're going to be looking at? What do you reckon?
I'm not sure I want to focus on a matchup. I think I want to focus on like the moments that Chelsea will get. Because we know when you play Man City, you have to play a certain way. And that's because of how good they are. I think one of the approaches you can take is the counter-attack and just relying on moments like Man United have done.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you get those moments against City, you have to be clinical and take them early. And then you can hopefully set up really well defensively for the rest of the game. I feel like Timo Werner, when he's had moments so far in the Champions League and in the Premier League, I feel like in those crucial moments, he's sort of buckled.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, we saw in the last City match, he was practically like living offside. Like he was on the last. He got in behind a lot of times. Mm-hmm. It's just that whether he'll be offside or not when the VAR call happens. Mm-hmm. And he said again, he's not been the most clinical. He's improved under Tuchel, but he's not been the most clinical this season as well.
Yeah.
You say playing on the counter attack. Obviously got Werner's pace, but they usually play in the Champions League either Ziyech and Mount behind. and they're not slow by any means, but it's not really the ideal counter-attacking setup. Do you expect a counter-attacking threat from Chelsea, or do you think it'll be more methodical? Or
I think I would, yeah. But at the same time, it does depend on like how the game goes, like Jack said. And I think with Tuchel managing games, like obviously they went 1-0 down against City.
Yeah.
And I think he managed that game so well to like come back, and they almost just gradually eased themselves back into the game. And I think they will look to get in behind as much as possible, because they have done that whenever they've played City, whether that's, you know, with their fullbacks pushing up high, or whether it's like Werner getting in behind.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to touch on something about Ziyech and Mount when they're not getting in behind that I saw in the Madrid match. Obviously, Madrid have the Casemiro, the Modric, and the Kroos midfield, the experienced midfield. But something I saw, it was Pulisic and Mount. They actually started playing on the blind side of Modric and Kroos.
Yeah.
And they were staying really close to Modric and Kroos. So Modric and Kroos knew that they were there. So they couldn't exactly go press forward, Kante and Jorginho, because they knew that the threat was there. But at the same time, like, they couldn't actually see where they were. So in that sense, like, Modric and Kroos were caught in sort of like a no man's land of like, should I go press Kante and Jorginho on the ball, or should I go? And in the end, they did neither. And Mount and Pulisic kept making diagonal runs and getting space in between the defensive line and the midfield line. And that's something that, you know, I thought I saw against Madrid. And then I was thinking, how can that be applied against City when Cancelo and Rodri, really, that players the two midfielders that sit back. So in that sense, like, with Cancelo and Rodri sitting as the two midfielders in City's case, how do you think the two attackers in like Mount and Pulisic it was, or Mount and Ziyech, how do you think they're going to react to a different type of midfield structure that City deploy?
I think you're right in like picking up on that, because I think obviously we all know how good of a player like Toni Kroos is, and if you can just affect his rhythm, and allow him not to get his head up and then ping a 40-yard pass through to Benzema, then I think you've done quite well, and that's like one of the problems solved within the game. And I think Mason Mount and Ziyech can Pulisic, do that as well, with the likes of Rodri and Cancelo. Yeah,
like sitting on the blind side, it probably negates a lot of what Cancelo and Rodri can do on the ball, as well as like what they can do attacking wise.
Especially Cancelo as well, because if you play Pulisic on the left, and then when Cancelo sort of drops into that midfield space, you could sort of say, okay, Christian, just, well, you wouldn't say this.
He's speaking to Christian directly here.
Here you go. He's watching this. He's watching this. You'd say, get on the blind side and then use that left channel.
Yeah.
So as soon as you've actually connected with your midfielders, just run into that space that Cancelo's vacated.
Yeah.
And then you've got gaps upon gaps, and then Cancelo can't really play almost as a second midfielder like Rodri there. He sort of has to step back because he realises that channel's open.
Yeah.
And he can't mark Christian Pulisic because he's playing on his blind side. So I think if it was up to me, and it isn't, I'd play Christian Pulisic.
All right, instead of Ziyech.
Instead of Ziyech, yeah.
Well, you said that you expect Cancelo to play left back and Walker on the right. So in that case, I think Pulisic played right against City in the league as well recently, and he played right against Real Madrid as well. So it works out perfectly in what you're saying, that sit on the blind side when Cancelo goes in, sit behind him, and then as soon as Chelsea win the ball back, Kante's going to win the ball back at least many times. Yeah. As soon as that happens, you know, Cancelo's going to be like, shit, should I go like press Kante who's like sprinting at me, or should I follow Pulisic back into the space that I've just left? I think that would be like a massive problem for City going forward.
And then I think from there as well, City don't often actually lose the midfield battle. Yeah. But I feel like if you actually take that fullback that drops into midfield out of that midfield battle, I think Kante, I think Kovacic will probably play. Yeah. And I think Mount and Pulisic either side.
I think it's Kante and Jorginho.
Jorginho. Tuchel likes Jorginho, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I think they can actually win that midfield battle. So
Yeah.
if you take Cancelo out of it, he wasn't even a midfielder but plays like one, then I think Chelsea will actually start to get a bit of joy.
Yeah. Spicy take. Chelsea win the midfield battle against City when they're playing about 10 midfielders. I mean, we're going to flip that. Say, obviously that relies on Chelsea winning the ball back. Say they don't do it successfully. You've then got what you said alluded to before, like the shifting false nines everywhere sort of thing. And a place that I was thinking of like looking at is that left side again that we were talking about in the episode that never made it. Chelsea play Azpilicueta and James, and Tuchel's changed whether Azpilicueta plays right wing back or right centre back, and same with James.
Yeah.
With that, not uncertainty, but they have played both positions. Do you think that the moving four of City can like shift them out of position there, or do you think that Azpilicueta and James can sort of handle that?
Well, I feel like James was put into that right centre back role against Leicester to counteract the counter attack of Vardy, because obviously he's quicker than Azpilicueta, and it showed in that game. Even though Azpilicueta's good on the ball, I think Reece James did miss his delivery on that side, and so I feel like the obvious option is to try and prevent the City counter attack, which he probably won't even have.
Yeah,
but I think the best option is to play Azpilicueta right centre back, Reece James right wing back, and then because City are going to have most of the ball anyway.
Yeah,
you might be worried about the counter attack, but I mean it's City. Like they usually just break teams down.
Yeah,
whenever they want, and so I don't think you have to compensate in that sense. I think I just play Reece James right wing back.
Fair enough. Do you think, with that being said, obviously Foden's then coming up against both James. Well, he'll probably have to get past James, and then he'll face up Azpilicueta. But at the same time, you're very notorious for making overloads in that left wing. Do you think that's somewhere you could suffocate Chelsea, like in terms of like if you do lose the ball back there, you're just on Azpilicueta straight away? And I know Azpilicueta is quite decent on the ball. Same with Reece James, but do you see that being the main threat, the left wing or the right wing?
I think so, possibly. Yeah. I'd agree with what Jack's saying. And if I was Tuchel, I'd definitely put Reece James against Phil Foden instead of like you said. Once you get past James and you're facing Azpilicueta, where if it was like 1-on-1 against Azpilicueta, you'd probably favour Foden in that situation. Yeah. But it definitely nullifies that a lot. But I think obviously with Cancelo, if he does play on the left, getting up, I think City can still cause them problems. And it's whether a case of like, will any of them get dragged out or will they stay disciplined? Because I feel like that's where the chances come up. Yeah. With, you need to have discipline, which Tuchel has a lot of. And if they stay in the shape, then I think City might struggle.
So the key points basically to take from this tactical preview is Tuchel has shown discipline, and if they can keep that, they have a good chance. But if they don't, then as we've seen many times this season, Pep Guardiola's City is just going to wreak havoc and score goals.
What team haven't they scored against?
Exactly. So,
I mean, anyone would say that it's a given that City would win. Yeah. I mean, I think that midfield is going to be crucial. I think as soon as Chelsea do, like you said, play that blindside tactic against City, I feel like when you lose Cancelo in that midfield, I think Chelsea can overload. And this is probably going to bite me
in the arse. Yeah,
bite me in the arse a bit later on. And it's not because I'm just a United fan. I want Chelsea to win, but I mean it is. Yeah. But right. I do think City is almost being handed the trophy by fans right now, by neutrals. Yeah. Oh yeah, you've won it.
I think it's 50-50. I'm not sure whether you'd.
I don't think it's 50-50. I think it's like more 60-40 City. I think you just edge it for me. Yeah. But I feel like Chelsea are getting really overlooked.
I mean, we'll jump straight to it then. What are the predictions then, Lewis? You're trying to ground yourself because you don't want to get carried away. Yeah. I can see what you're doing.
Yeah, he's fine with. He doesn't want to get bitten in the arse. I'm just taking it all. I'm not even a City fan.
What are you saying then? Predictions? All right, okay, go on.
I'm gonna back City.
Is it?
And be open to ridicule when
All
they
right,
lose.
okay. Do you know what it was? I swear you said Chelsea would win the Champions League, and the one that didn't make it.
I did say that in the last one.
Yeah,
but,
you've changed your mind now.
Yeah. That's because Jack pissed himself at me when I said Chelsea.
It's a City fan.
Yeah.
And Chelsea are going to win the Champions League.
I was lowering the expectations. Like, we'd just drawn PSG. I didn't actually think that we'd managed to get through that game.
What's the score then?
I'd probably say like 2-1 City.
2-1. Jack?
I'm going to say... Can we have a left field shout and then like a realistic...
No, just one.
Just one?
Just the one.
All right. 3-1 City.
3-1 City.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea. I think Tuchel.
Do you actually believe that?
No, I just want to be different. I'll say 2-1 Chelsea. And then like everyone sees that I don't actually believe it, so no one can take the piss when I'm wrong. So
I'll say 6-1 Chelsea. Yeah, go on. 6-1 Chelsea.
Right. I think that sums up the preview. It'll probably, depending on the next section, this will probably be either a 2-part podcast, so we'll do 2 podcasts for the Champions League final. One being a preview, one being a squad building challenge. Or if we get it done fast enough, you probably listening to this on one clip. So, whatever the hell you're doing, you know the answer. We don't. But I will tell you what we're doing for the squad building challenge. So I'll explain what it is. We all brought a team that has won the Champions League final in the last 30 years to the table. Lewis, if you want to say what your team is.
Mine would be Real Madrid, the 2001 to 2002 winning team.
Yep. Jack?
Mine is the Jose Mourinho 2010 Inter Milan winning team.
And I said the Man United 99 treble winners. And what we're going to do with that, these 3 teams, is we're going to go through each team, the players in the team and the manager and the tactics that they played. And then we're going to try build an ultimate 11 of all these players and choose a tactic and a philosophy and a playing style and see if this team is good enough to beat a combined Chelsea and Man City team.
Okay.
A Chelsea and Man City team that are playing in the Champions League final, right? So we'll start off with Lewis. He said Real Madrid 2001-2.
Yeah.
For those that can't quite remember, it was the year that Zidane did a fucking madness and did that volley. That's mad volley against Leverkusen. Lewis, if you want to say the names in the team and like just your general overview of your team and what you expect.
So the manager of this Real Madrid team was Vicente Del Bosque, and I feel like this is like the start and like one of his best teams that he's like ever managed.
Yeah.
You've got players that he had Raul and Morientes up front, along with Zidane playing behind them, the likes of Figo, Roberto Carlos, Claude Makelele, and Fernando Hierro. There's like some of the key names in there as well.
Yeah.
And obviously, like they won that final, and we literally watched it just before, and they were pretty impressive. Along with an 18-year-old Iker Casillas.
He got subbed on in that final. Yeah.
So pretty good team.
They're the players. We might have a graphic on the side that shows the team for you guys. Not sure on that one just yet. But the team lined up in a 4-1-2-1-2. It was sort of narrow in the sense that they had, like you said, inverted wingers.
Yeah.
And you said that a lot of the width was provided by Salgado and Roberto Carlos on the sides. 2 strikers as well. What are the key patterns of play that we saw from that team that you think would make this team stand out in comparison to our teams?
I think obviously, like not avoiding the question, but Zidane is playing in behind them.
Yeah.
And I feel like obviously he's making things tick behind both of them. And I think Morientes and Raul were very talented number 9s.
Yeah.
But they were very good on the ball, and they could drop back, and it'd create a lot of problems for defenders not knowing whether to like push them or stay back and just allow them some space.
You said Raul and Morientes are two talented number 9s. In a 4-1-2-1-2 in modern football, you usually see the number 9s running the channels. Raul and Morientes weren't exactly like players that ran the channels. They like doing their work within the width of the 18-yard box. Do you think, like Lewis said, there's a lot of creativity behind those two? Do you think that take away the creativity, are they making...
They'd struggle.
Like, if you take... Obviously, you take away Zidane from any team, it's going to diminish the team. But if we're trying to compare these teams, do you think there's a lot of pressure on individuals in this team, or is the setup actually as good as what Lewis is saying?
I think, if you talk about Raul in particular, I think when you've got a striker like that who can just score goals like for fun, from like basically half chances, when in the box as well, you don't necessarily need as much creativity. That's just a little bonus.
Yeah.
So I feel like individuals in this team would definitely stand up against players in ours.
Yeah.
I think, we'll see in my team, there's definitely certain players who benefited the system more than...
in your team?
In my team, yeah. Definitely with Jose Mourinho ball, certain players definitely like favoured that style of play, and that's how they won the Champions League. So I think it'd be interesting to see how individuals actually compare when they're taken out of that system.
Right. Lewis, if you just want to quickly sum up the route to the final that your team had, and like just to make it clear that you
like
played
the calibre of teams.
The calibre of teams. Yeah.
So they had, I think it was Roma in their group, which would have had the likes of Totti back then. So
there's Fabio Capello's Roma as well, which was the one that won the league.
Yeah.
So and Batistuta, aging Batistuta.
They had Batistuta that left just for a year. Yeah.
So it was a big challenge, that one. And then in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, they did finish top, and then they progressed on to the quarterfinals where they beat Bayern Munich, and then in the semi-finals Barcelona, and then they beat a very good Leverkusen team in the Champions League final.
Yeah.
And obviously Zidane scored that wonder goal.
Yeah, so we'll come back to that when we've gone through the rest of the teams. Jack, if you want to move on to your team, it was into 2010 Jose Mourinho.
Into 2010, yeah.
Yeah, just a quick overview.
Okay. Quick.
I'll
talk about some certain individuals. Julio Cesar was just working his way up into the forefront of Inter at that point.
Yeah.
I think he'd been in there around for like 2 or 3 years, but he was just really finding his feet. I think Lucio at the back he played in your team as well, did he?
No, he played in Leverkusen's team.
He played in Leverkusen's team, sorry, yeah. I think Lucio was just a machine.
Yeah.
I think in that team, they had like a rich breed of strikers. They had Milito, they had Balotelli. Balotelli at that time was very young.
Yeah.
Let's forget. Yeah. They had Eto'o as well.
Yeah.
Eto'o was
playing a winger.
But Milito was probably their best striker at that time.
Yeah.
And then you've got individuals like Zanetti, Cambiasso, Wesley Sneijder in that attacking midfield position.
Yeah.
So, names that stand up on their own, whether they're just taken out of a team, like they're all quality players.
So you're talking about the individuals. As a collective, the team lined up in like a 4-2-3-1, and it was known as the team that got the name because of the collective performance that they had against like Barcelona in the semi-finals and
Bayern Munich in the final.
If you want to just explain like how Jose Mourinho went about solidifying that structure. Obviously, he played Eto'o as a winger. Yeah. So, go for it.
Eto'o really suited the counter-attack in that kind of team.
Yeah.
So he'd sort of peel off the left and use Milito's runs outright as like a diagonal.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it worked, especially against Bayern Munich. Milito scored 2 goals from 2 counter-attacks pretty much.
Yeah.
It was like a defensive Mourinho masterclass.
Yeah.
And so a lot of Mourinho's style of play, it wasn't founded in it didn't come from that year, but it was really demonstrated in like on the big stage for like the second time. I think that was his second Champions League, wasn't it?
Yeah.
After Porto. And Eto'o on that wing really suited that diagonal counter attack because he had the pace, and then he essentially just give assists to Milito, who obviously is a world class striker at that point.
Yeah.
So it was just the counter attack, Mourinho's counter attack that really suited that Inter Milan team.
It's weird because I read a stat the other day as well that in the league, because that's the stereotype that Inter were a counter-attacking side, but in the Serie A, when they won 2 Serie A's under Mourinho, they actually had the most possession, the second most possession there, 55% it was. And then when they went into the Champions League, that dropped to 44%. So,
I think Mourinho was just being humble.
Yeah.
In that sense, he was just like, okay, Bayern are going to have more possession.
Yeah.
How are we going to win this game? And that's a perfect example of where Mourinho's genius comes into effect, where he just says, okay, this team's going to have more of the ball. Yeah. How can we win this match?
And they negated a lot of the special talents in the teams like Barcelona and Bayern Munich with that zonal sort of, like, comes back to what you're saying about Eto'o and the counter-attack. They sort of deployed a zonal system where, like, if Messi ran past one player, they'd pass Messi on to the midfielder. So if he ran past a left back, now Messi has to go to past the left centre mid.
And then he'd already dropped in.
Yeah, and then if he gets past the left centre mid, he gets passed on to another player.
Yeah, and then eventually the left back would come round.
And it just like, it felt like they were going into like a wall that just kept moving around him.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like this team was so successful at the time, because I think everyone in their position was very, very disciplined.
Yeah.
And they must have done like exactly what Mourinho had told them
They're
to,
dying,
which is why it worked.
I mean, that is weird because what we were talking about with Tuchel is like, if they can hold the discipline, these players, then, you know, a lot of...
They'll get moments.
Yeah.
Like Milito did and took the chances. That's why I was stressing at Werner.
Yeah.
Like, if you can actually take the chances like Milito.
Yeah.
There you go. Goals. Wins.
Exactly.
They'll win.
We'll say a couple more names. Obviously, we've not even spoke about Schneider in the camp. He was the transitional player. Like, they won the ball back, and if they could poke it through to Schneider, Schneider would quick turn and then play it down the wing.
Eto'o.
Yeah.
Bang,
and it's pretty much the same pattern each time. I think Schneider's obviously Zidane, but Schneider...
Obviously, Schneider was still incredibly good.
So it's going to be a difficult comparison to do. And then we'll go to my team. So, I mean, your team won a treble. My team won a treble.
Mine didn't.
Yours didn't. But my team is the United 99 team. Obviously, a lot has been said about that team. It was a 4-4-2. Schmeichel in there. Neville and Irwin as the 2 wing-backs. Stam and Ronnie Johnson. And then you've also got Keane, Scholes, Beckham, Giggs, and then Andy Cole and Dwight York. That was the main team. Obviously, Keane and Scholes were obviously injured for the final. Not injured, suspended for the final because of what they did against Juventus. And, you know, if I to give a quick summary of what my team were capable of doing, is usually win the ball back in the midfield because of Scholes and Keane and even the 2 wingers, and then recycle it into wide areas where Neville, Irwin, Beckham and Giggs were, and then try hit that ball into the 2 strikers who could hold it up really well. It's quite old-fashioned in that sense. Yours is quite a counter-attacking side. Yours was more, not you could say possession-based, but it had a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
And then mine's quite traditional in an English sense.
So it got like a real mix of teams and tactics.
Definitely. So saying that, we'll go with the players first and then see what the tactics form around them. So I think I would usually go to the goalkeeper first. Do you want to go to the goal?
Yeah. Let's start with the goalkeeper.
So you've got Cesar.
Cesar, yeah.
You've also got a guy called Cesar. But Iker Casillas came on in the final.
Yeah.
Do you want to just go with, like, the more people would know Iker Casillas?
Yeah.
So let's say prime, he was a kid, he was 18.
He was 18 at the time, but yeah. If you are we judging them off their career?
I mean, judge him off that match, maybe. Like,
I mean, you said Casillas made a lot of saves in that match as an 18-year-old. Maybe just for the goalkeeper, we'll judge him off like that season, and Casillas will, just to give him a chance because he's a kid.
I don't think he gets in anyway. Like,
over Schmeichel.
Over Schmeichel.
Oh, all right. Is it that simple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think obviously Casillas is one of the best goalkeepers that I've ever seen, but I'd probably just put Schmeichel in front of him just because you're physically as a goalkeeper as well. I think obviously Casillas was like a bit smaller.
Yeah.
But Schmeichel literally filled the goal.
Yeah.
Which, as a striker...
But then you've got Cesar. Again, it goes back to tactics. Cesar and Casillas are better on.
Are we talking about at that time? Or are we talking about just the whole career and then just judging them off the whole career pretty much?
We're judging him off that season. Just specifically for Casillas, I wanted to give Casillas, an 18-year-old Casillas, a chance.
Okay.
So...
We'll go with Schmeichel.
Schmeichel. Yeah. But I reckon that is subject to change if we want to go with a possession-based system, because the other two, in my opinion, they're better on the ball, like Cesar and Casillas in the prime as well. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing we're not going 3 at the back because none of these teams. Yeah. So we've got for right back, Maicon, Neville, or Michel Salgado. And I know who I'd go, but throw your case in there. You're supposed to be fighting for your player, by the way.
I don't think Salgado can
mix. Well, you could probably mix with Neville.
Maybe. Me personally, I'd probably go with like a prime Maicon.
Yeah.
Just bombing down the right.
Yeah.
That'd be my choice.
I don't think it's far off. I think Neville's obviously a quality player, but I think Maicon, beast. Unreal.
Yeah.
I think he was the most creative player in the league in that season as well. I think he got 12 assists or something mental like that.
So it has to be. So Gary Neville got 2 assists in his whole career.
We'll go straight with Maicon. Right, zooming through. So now we're going to take the 2 centre-backs with the fact that we have Maicon was a very disciplined right-back. You have to be disciplined to play with Jose Mourinho. But we have to choose the 2 centre-backs and then maybe the left-back with the consideration that Maicon is in the team. More. Yeah. So, who were your 2 centre-backs? It was Lucio and
I think they played, is it Samuel?
Yeah, Walter Samuel. And he was quality, yeah.
And then they had another guy called Chivu as well.
Yeah, Christian, yeah. He was a left-back, yeah.
I'd probably go... Are we fighting for right centre-back, first of all?
Yeah, so we'll say the
relationship between... I'm fighting for Lucio because I think Maicon and Lucio's understanding in that season, having watched clips of it, when Maicon went forward, even though he didn't go forward as much as in other times in his career, obviously because Mourinho's style, but Lucio filled in. So I'd say...
The understanding Right.
And obviously Lucio's a quality player.
Yeah,
he's probably not as good as some centre-backs that you two have got, but...
I'd say he's up there.
He's definitely up there, but I feel like there's 2 main ones that I'd say are better.
I think maybe ours had better careers than
Lucio,
but they had very good primes.
Who are yours?
Mine's Hierro and then Helguera.
Yeah.
So I think Helguera I'm gonna pass on because I think there are better centre halves in this discussion. But I think Hierro should be in the team because he was an incredibly good centre half back in the day.
I'd agree with that, and he's also... Lucio and Hierro on the ball, they're amazing defenders, but on the ball as well, they're very good. But then I've got a fucking madman in Yip Yap Stam. And Yip Yap Stam. So I've got Yap Stam.
Yes.
And he's probably, as an out-and-out defender, the best one in the bunch.
Yeah,
100%.
I'd agree with that as well.
So, we've gone very attacking... we're choosing our defenders, but Maicon, Lucio, Hierro, and Stam. I think they're the 3, and then we'll move on to left back. We've got Dennis Irwin, Roberto Carlos, and Christian Kiwi. I think.
Christian. I was trying to keep it together. I was like, Christian Kiwi.
Yeah. Right. I'm jumping around everywhere. I want you to take the decision.
So are we having 2 centre backs?
Yeah.
Let's do the centre backs. Let's do centre backs first.
Right, go for it.
I think Stam.
Yep.
Hierro.
I think Stam Hierro as well.
Even though Lucio's in my team, I think they both sort of beat
I'm going to go Lucio and Stam.
Okay.
I think Hierro.
No, Lucio, again, for the understanding as well. He was literally playing in your Champions League final for the opposite team as well. But I think Lucio, he's a complete centre-back. I think he's the most complete centre-back out of any centre-back on that list.
Judging by the way he plays on the ball, to be fair, mean, Hierro's good on the ball as well.
Yeah. I just think Lucio, again, is very close, but like you said, the understanding with Maicon and a certain other Brazilian on the side, who I'm guessing Roberto Carlos is a shoo-in. Yeah. I mean, Dennis Irwin's a quality footballer, right-footed left-back, score goals.
So Chivu.
Christian Chivu. To be fair, he did a job on Messi. Like, oh no, did he get... I think he got red carded, actually. I think Roberto Carlos, Yap Stam...
And then... do you want to go... Me and Jack did say Hierro and Stam, so we could go with the majority vote there.
And then
I don't think we should. Like, if you're going to go with...
Oh, yeah, fine, I have Lucio. It's my player.
Yeah, I'll go with Lucio.
Yeah, I have Lucio.
By the way, Ronnie Johnson as well, absolute baller.
Underrated.
Yeah, underrated. Fergie said that he's the most underrated player alongside Ji-Sung Park. So special caveat for Ronnie Johnson, but I don't think he is getting in this team, unfortunately.
Neither's Hierro by the sounds of things.
No, I don't think he does.
It's alright, we can move on.
Yeah.
As long as I've got Roberto Carlos.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
So what is it? So finalise it for us, Jack.
So we've got
Christian Chivu. What?
Schmeichel.
Yep.
Right back, we have Maicon.
Yep.
Stam.
Yep.
Lucio. Obviously, we play Lucio right centre back, and then Roberto Carlos in the left back position.
I think that's a balanced. We've got bombing left backs and right backs, but I think it's a very balanced back four, back five.
Well, we are gonna. Do you reckon we should in this team play like a holding midfielder that just sits in front of the back four?
Wonder who's got one of them.
I mean, I have one.
I have one.
I've got two.
Yeah, true. So you've got. I mean, go on.
Well, Claude Makelele is in my team, so that's obviously he was a quality player, and I think he'd probably be the best in that position.
I've got
he'd
Roy
have
Keane.
My vote.
I've got Roy Keane though, and if you're talking about defensive midfielders, I think he's also got. Not that Makelele wasn't a leader, but I think Keane is.
But I think I don't think Makelele had many like really memorable performances where I think people pick out Roy Keane against Juventus in the semi-final time and time again. So.
Yeah, and then you've got two. You got two quality players in Zanetti and Cambiasso. And Zanetti could have been a shout for the fullbacks positions as well.
And we put Christian. Nah, because I knew that Zanetti would be getting in.
In midfield,
I think he does.
I got to say as well. So we're saying holding midfielder, right?
By the way, we're not including
Scholes. We're not including Schneider. Scholes.
Yeah.
I mean, Scholes was a bit of jack of all trades.
We're playing like we're deciding the formation.
We'll just say holding midfielder for this role, and then we'll move on to formation.
So we've got Zanetti from me. I'm personally going to... I know Cambiasso was quality, but I think Zanetti just pips him.
Yeah.
I'm going to put Zanetti forward.
I'm going to put Claude Makelele forward.
I'm going to put Roy Keane forward, mate. I don't think you can argue with me.
No, well, to be honest, I can't. Really.
Yeah, you're a United fan.
I can't really. I mean, we could play two holding midfielders.
Are we going to go Jose ball, zonal system?
I mean,
we can go for two holding because I think
that's pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just go fucking mental with the attackers.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, if you want to... So we're going to go Jose, because Jose was two holding that understood that if a player came towards them, they can pass them on to the next one, and they can carry on doing that for 90 minutes. Are we going to go with that principle as a defensive side?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Jose's defensive side, so we're going to have to go to holding. And if that's the case, it's got to be Keane and Makelele.
I'd agree with you there. Sorry, Jack.
But then again, we're doing a Jose principle, and we've got Jose's captain in Zanetti, and we're not choosing him. So, what's going on there?
I'm personally saying Zanetti over Makelele.
I'm going Makelele and then Roy Keane. I'm sticking with that.
So everyone agrees Roy Keane.
We've got a quality captain in Roy Keane. I'd rather have Roy Keane as captain in that team.
But you can... I mean... You put forward Casillas before, didn't you?
I did, but the guy's 18.
He's a kid. I mean, I still think Zanetti.
Zanetti?
Yeah.
Right.
Makelele.
I mean, let us know in the comments. This might be condensed down into a clip because it has been a bit of a mad conversation. But out of the three midfielders that we're on about, Zanetti sort of a hybrid of both, of a fullback and a midfielder. Zanetti, Keane, and Makelele. Who are the three? Which two out of the three are getting into the team? I'm going to say, because I have the deciding vote now. So Roy Keane, and I'm going to say Makelele.
Okay.
You got Lucio, to be fair.
Yeah, I'll have Lucio.
You didn't even fight for Lucio.
I did. Maybe that's just reverse psychology. Maybe I didn't know you were going to say.
All right. So
we've got only have one attacking midfielder.
Yeah. Well, it depends. We could go 4-4-2, or we could go with an attacking midfielder and like a 4-2-3-1. And there's a certain big name on the list that I think you might want to mention, Lewis. We mentioned him a bit before.
So I think if we were going for like a 4-3-3,
yeah,
the attacking midfielder, my suggestion would be Zidane.
Yeah.
Very hard to argue against that.
Conversation over.
Yeah, pretty much.
What about Christian Kiwi then? I fucking can't argue with Zidane.
So, like, would you want to go for like a 4-3-3? Or
but you got Scholes and Schneider in the mix as well.
Yeah. We could go for like we could like run through 4-4-2 and like what players would play where, and then a 4-3-3 from there.
For my team, I know I've got Giggs and Beckham there, and Scholes. I think all three of them have a very big shout of getting in. But for this conversation, I think with the amount of central talent we've got in Zidane and Schneider, I think we have to go with a more condensed, like narrow sort of system, like the Del Bosque system, like going forward. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, I'm going to take out Giggs from the equation. Sorry, Giggs. Not that he's watching. He's probably in prison.
Yeah, he's probably going through a court.
Here anyway.
But I'm going to put forward Scholes and Beckham as one of the creative players because I'm aware that you've got Schneider, you've got Zidane.
Scholes and would you have Beckham on the right and then Scholes?
I'm thinking like a 4-2-2, like sort of like a narrow.
Okay.
Instead of two wingers, very narrow creative players that are free to drift wherever they want. If that's all right.
I'd go for that.
That's fine. I mean, to be fair, I think Zidane's in. He has to get in that team.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, we have to find a way to get him in.
But then, in my team, I would also put forward Figo.
But then that we have to go with wingers.
Yeah.
Well,
or you could, play him as like a creative.
Yeah, because he roams about anyway. Because
that's what he did for Del Bosque. He came in off the wing and came inside and created from there. So, and then you'd obviously have Schneider.
And then obviously we had Eto on the wing, but if we're playing a 4-2-2-2, then
could play Eto up front.
Yeah, I mean, he's well versed with that. Mm-hmm. So the two we've decided how we're going to do it. So now who is going to do it? Zidane.
I'd say Zidane and Scholes, I think.
It's funny because he's a United fan fighting for Inter players. He wants to say Scholes, but he can't. Scholes. What about Beckham?
To be fair,
if we're playing
Beckham
roaming
on the right hand side.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I'd play Beckham.
Because Beckham played centre mid in the final because of the injuries. Mm-hmm. I'd personally go Beckham as well.
Yeah.
Although Scholes, I think, was the better all round footballer.
Yeah. But we've already. To be fair, we could maybe go back to our centre mids now. not Scholes.
What about Christian Kiwi then?
Right, so we're going Zidane and Scholes then.
Zidane and Beckham. I'm going to let Jack choose between Beckham and Scholes.
Just like right hand side, Beckham. Right attacking midfielder, Beckham.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And Zidane, like sort of like a floating left-sided trequartista. Mm-hmm. Like he used to play for Juventus back in the day. Right. Now we've got two strikers. Rounding it up quite quickly now. Take as much time as we need. But Raul and Morientes for you.
Yeah.
I know Eto played right for you, and then you got Melito, and I've got Andy Cole and Dwight York, as well as Solskjaer and Sheringham, but they don't get in.
Yeah. And I've got Balotelli and Marco Arnautovic.
Baby Balotelli.
Yeah, Marco Arnautovic as well.
Oh, yeah. A top player.
Yeah, won a Champions League,
A great footballer. Yeah. All right. Do you know who that was? That was trying to be Fergie, but I'm not doing that again.
Oh.
Nah, I'm not doing that.
Go on then. Fight your cases. Milito.
To be honest,
You don't even like Inter, do you?
no, I like Inter. I like that team a lot. But when you pick out the individuals,
it was the system that got them there.
Exactly.
Not the individual. Well, obviously the individuals helped a lot, but it was more so the system.
Being a United fan as well, you say Dwight York and Andy Cole, I literally spunk my pants thinking about it. Who have you got, Pooh?
I've got Raul and Morientes, but I think I'd probably more put forward Raul. Definitely put forward as like a quality number 9.
I'd put both Eto'o and Milito forward.
I think like most people should know I'm a United fan as well. Mm-hmm. But in this conversation, I've had my dad tell me all my life that Andy Cole was overrated and he needed about 10 chances to score a goal.
Really?
But I think he's in the minority there. And he loved Dwight York with a passion.
Yeah.
But if you're saying like a one-off game and you have to take like every chance, who are you putting behind them chances?
It's got to be Raul or Milito. I think one of Raul and Milito have to play because they're...
Milito.
Raul.
Milito.
Because they're the finishers.
Milito in that Champions League run, instrumental.
Yeah.
Like when Inter scored, Milito scored.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
So my finisher that I'm putting forward is Andy Cole because Dwight York was more the creative player. Your finisher is Milito. Your finisher is Raul. In that sense, again, get it down in the comments. Out of them 3 players, which finisher would you take to like on a one-off match on a Champions League final? Andy Cole, Diego Milito, or Raul? And now we need to make the decision.
I'd say Raul. I know we said just based off like the Champions League final situation, but he's done it like time and time again for Real Madrid, whereas Milito's not done it as consistently as Raul did for all them years. That's my argument.
Agreed, but also we're judging it off. We were saying we're judging it off this team, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because we're talking about Casillas can't get in, etc.
Yeah.
So I think this season, I think Milito's better than Raul.
Right.
Just
deciding vote.
I'm the deciding vote, and that's quite scary. Can we move to the creative striker? Who's the? So
it's cop out.
No, I want to know who's the partner. Who's the partner?
Wait, so have you put Dwight York forward for that?
I'm putting Dwight York as a big shout for creative striker. I know Milito, Eto'o was a winger, but we're putting him in as, and he was a top finisher as well. But we're putting him in as the creative striker in this thing.
I mean, who doesn't love Dwight York?
True.
Harvey Price.
You can't say that. You can't say that. I don't know if it's cute, eh?
Oh,
Go on.
Right. Right, we're coming to the hour mark, so we've got to make a decision. I think if we go Eto'o as a creative striker, we go Raul as the finisher. And if we go Milito, we go York as the finisher.
Okay. So they're like the 2 combinations that we're going for.
Yeah. So Raul and Eto'o.
Because Raul is in that, I'm going to go with Raul and Eto'o.
Right.
Just based because my team's Real Madrid.
Yeah.
In this scenario.
I'm going Milito and Eto'o.
Everything that I've said.
I'm going to say... I think back in the... I don't think football's changed too drastically from the era. I think it's overstated, but that's a topic for a different day. Mm-hmm. But I think back in an era of the 1999, like 2001 era, I would go Milito and York because a combination of a big man who can hold it up and York who was like...
Just everywhere,
and he'd like poke it through. They just had a mad understanding, obviously with Andy Cole, but I think that understanding can be replicated with Milito.
who your dad says is a better striker.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And my dad's a United fan, just saying. So, exactly. So, I think for that era, I'd go with them two. But in the current era, when you've got a player like Raul and Eto'o, one runs the channels, one's a lethal goal scorer, quite diminutive, hard to mark. We've already got like the height and the structure behind these two strikers. So for me, if we're playing against a combined Chelsea and City 11, I'm going with Raul and Eto'o.
I'm okay with that.
You okay with that?
I mean, I'm okay with that as well.
Even though...
So is that the team decided then?
Right, we'll go through the team one last time.
Even though I'm still going to fight Melito's case, and I feel like a lot of people will.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm happy with that because I think it works quite well. Eto'o and Raul.
So we've got Schmeichel in net. We've got Maicon, Lucio and Stam. Roberto Carlos left back. Then we've got two like destroyers in Keane and Makalele we went for. We've got two floating attacking midfielders in Zidane off the left and Beckham off the right. And then we've got Raul and Eto'o. I think Pep Guardiola and Tuchel combined with the teams that they have wouldn't stand a chance.
No, me neither.
So, with that being said, I think that wraps up the podcast. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more squad building challenges, we've done this one based off the UCL final and Champions League winning teams. But throw some more suggestions on what type of teams and squad building challenges we could do. And then we'll see you on the next one, which will be filmed soon enough. So yeah, thanks for watching or listening on Spotify. And check out Tactic Talk on Instagram. Thank you.